Hey guys, what's going on today? Sorry for not reacting a lot. Had have to deal with school and all that. Today we'll be reacting to YouTube Darkest videos. This is the 7th one. Some people have been reacting to it, so let's watch.
Wait, what is this? Are you live?
It's December 4th, 2003.
I'm gonna go try to get them to stop doing that.
So,
a police officer walking in a local park in Arlington, Virginia, is approached by a concerned family, claiming that someone in a nearby neighborhood had been shooting off a flare gun. The officer could hear it too, and following the sound, he eventually found himself at the home of 56-year-old James. The man lived alone.
I'm doing the video right now, and
was described by
you can
neighbors
see
as a
right
recluse, known to exhibit unusual behavior.
So it's a recording
Across his
before.
social media, he made posts claiming that he was the victim of fraud at the hands of all sorts of government agencies, as he had a deep distrust of the U.S. government as well as law enforcement.
Did you see someone react to this video?
Like his ex-wife, the FBI, and even his neighbors. His posts seemed entirely uncensored,
this one
and so did many of
is
his
bad,
actions.
but the
In the months
longer
prior, he
you
had covered
watch,
up
the
all of his
more
windows with garbage bags and
horrifying
aluminum
it is,
foil,
like, in a
and he even
sad
wrapped
way.
his trees in toilet paper. And though these actions are entirely harmless, on this day, things were becoming far more troubling.
No, that was
Police arrived at his
James.
home, he would be seen firing his flare gun out of his window and into the air, over and over again. And despite repeated attempts to get him to stop,
Arlington County Police! Stop shooting the flares! Mr. Yu!
he didn't let up, shooting 41 flares in the span of just 25 minutes. And he did.
How much do you have? How much, flare ammo do you need? That's the thing, because, some people are random in different ways, but you never think of this, to be honest, because, this is so weird.
At all with no explanation. In fact, he didn't even say a single word. Understandably, police were eager to get Yu out of his home for questioning, as at this point it wasn't obvious whether or not he was a threat. And so for hours and hours they called out to him, first asking and then demanding that he exit his home.
James, Arlington Police, come to the front door with your hands up. Do it now. We have your building surrounded.
But still, there was no response. Growing impatient and worried that Yu might be planning something, the police would eventually bring in a specialized vehicle to bust down the door and spray the inside of the home with gas, all in an attempt to draw Yu outside.
James, stay away from your front
YouTube
door.
Darkest videos. This is the 10th one. It's from Nick Crowley.
And in response, Yu began firing once again. Only this time, he wasn't using flares.
Sorry, again, but without flares. I think it's like a pistol or something like that. So they're shooting at that, and that's
And instead,
blast
he was now
resistant.
yielding an actual gun.
So it
That
looks
looks so
really
ridiculous.
Thankfully,
tickling.
none of these
I
shots
think
connected,
it's
but with the situation
No,
becoming
this is real.
increasingly
Just wait
dangerous,
until, the end
officers
of this
decided to
first
fall
clip.
back, as they carefully came up with a new plan for apprehending Yu.
It's
Though
like
whatever
body
they had been
cameras from
planning
cops
would never
and
come to
at this point
fruition.
SWAT or something like that. So that's back camera. And much happens. Then 3, 2, 1. Now I don't know how to explain this, but he literally rigged his house with 55 guns of C4. How? Why, anyways? This should be the entire house comfortable,
In a split second, the home was gone, as a massive explosion rang out from inside the house, reducing the entire structure to rubble. Inside the house, Yu had stored 55 gallons of gasoline in his basement, which he saved for that moment to ignite with no warning and no explanation.
Want to supercharge your super? The average Aussie could be 100k better off in their first 10 years of retirement.
I
just by
can't
joining
escape
Super
it.
And unlocking lifetime boost.
Bro.
Based on the footage, it's been theorized that Yu's actions were an attempt to lure police into his home so that he could then set off this explosion and take them all out along with his neighbors, as he genuinely believed that both parties were conspiring to kill him. Though somehow, when the smoke cleared, no civilians or police officers had so much as been injured. All that was found in the rubble was the remnants of a single body. Though for a moment, this wasn't the end of James Yu's story. Before that body could be identified, reports across social media began emerging showing that James Yu was somehow still alive.
How do you... I'm gonna pause the video. How do you survive, like, your house being blown up from yourself and you're just like, nothing. It's fine. I've dealt with worse. Like, are you okay?
After the blast, comments
Hang on. I'm gonna actually read this. Hang on. It's obvious America convinced the world to litigate against me. I don't know how to say that. You're effing pathetic. Insiders accessing my accounts, etc. My neighborhood, that's funny, is crawling with spies. Mrs. and Mrs. Surveillance with neighborhood cameras recording everything, then passing the video/audio to other parties, who then pass the information to the media and government entities. Now, this was on YouTube, and I tried finding, like, the channel. Nothing there, so I'm guessing it got taken down.
were being made on what appeared to be Yu's YouTube channel, where he stated that this whole thing was a cover-up.
Everybody's witnessing them they attempting to silence and crush me, their attempts to trick via reverse psychology through, for example, media headlines is pathetic. They do this to anyone who works for them. Like, why do you need to, like, capitalize, like...
wasn't even inside the home when the standoff started, which, looking back, we never actually see him, and we also never hear his voice. Numerous posts pointing out this development would go viral and cause mass confusion about the story, which was only heightened when it was revealed that the body inside that building was in fact James Yu.
Like,
Though in the end, it wasn't really as mysterious as some originally thought. As it turns out, the post showing these comments failed to realize that this wasn't actually Yu's account, and instead it had a completely different username, with the account likely having been created as nothing more than a hoax. To this day, though, there are some that still believe that this was all some sort of massive cover-up. But in reality, it just seems that this was the result of a man gripped by crippling paranoia and loneliness, with it all coming to a head in what has gone on to become one of YouTube's darkest videos.
So now I'm pretty sure that the next one is Dreamspace 2006 footage. Oh my god, I was
The
not
internet is a dark and disturbing frontier. This year alone, countless people have fallen victim to high-profile data breaches, raising serious concern about personal information security. Ticketmaster experienced
I'm not gonna risk it because it's just an ad just to Dreamspace 2006 footage.
there was really nothing else like it. This obscure 27,000 square foot structure allowed visitors to enter into what must have felt like another dimension. It was an exhibit called Dreamspace, and was the creation of British artist Maurice
that looks
Agus,
like
a
something
74-year-old
from
artistic
Backstreet.
visionary obsessed with the idea of creating large-scale surreal environments.
Like,
And this was
imagine,
his
like,
magnum-
you're in the back room to this one of the balls. Like, what do you do at that point? Because, like, you're gonna see something, like, crawling along, like, the little pillars and all that, like...
Opus. The structure was inflatable, akin to a massive bounce house, and once inside, guests were confronted with a labyrinth of brightly colored walls and cells, twisting and turning into some sort of surreal maze that patrons were told to lose
It
themselves
looks
in.
cool, at least.
This piece of art premiered back in 2004, and due to its inflatability, it was actually built to travel, making stops in major cities in the UK, before it was eventually set up at Riverside Park in Durham on the 22nd of June, 2006. The very next day, 68-year-old Elizabeth Collins would visit the area with her husband and her daughter, as well as her 14-year-old grandson. And spotting this unusual structure in the distance, Elizabeth's grandson insisted on checking it out, excitedly taking off his shoes and running inside. And while the rest of the group was more apprehensive about entering, Elizabeth eventually decided to accompany him, leaving her husband and daughter on the outside, though not before turning back to them and joking that she was going in to find peace and serenity. Outside, Elizabeth's husband and daughter sat at a nearby table, and enjoyed a cup of tea whilst conversing about the events of the week, only for the man to turn his head and notice that Dreamspace was slightly moving, to which he excitedly said, "Oh, it's a ride, it's a ride. I wish I had gone on it."
Now, like, I'm sorry for the pauses a lot, people that are watching this, as you are. Now this one sucks mainly because, like, there's a lot of people in that maze, and when the video said that it was slightly lifting, like, there's only one reason to this. Nothing underneath, just the wind pushing it up.
The daughter then turned her head to see the structure as it began to rise up off the ground, to which she chillingly responded, "It's not a ride."
You can see it, like, lifting right there. That does it more often. That's like, I think, like, fold or just like over. The entire thing, and they had it tied down, but not enough to, like, stop the wind.
Right now, someone's
Oh.
writing a company review on Indeed.
I was waiting for
Adding
it
to
this
the
one. I'll be
3.4
back.
million
Hang on.
he's letting the blog.
In that moment, Dreamspace had snapped from its moorings and was blown into the air by a massive gust of wind. Agus just so happened to be standing at the entrance as it began to shift, and noticing what was happening, he grabbed on as he desperately tried to hold down his entire life's work, though clearly this was of no use. And after being lifted in the air, his grip failed, sending him falling back to the ground below, where he lay staring up at his creation that was now flying 30 feet above him.
Look at that.
Inside, there were as many as 30 people who were now being thrashed around this giant inflatable structure in a scene that I truly can't even imagine. The claustrophobia of it, the dizzying colors, the screams. It's genuinely one of the most horrific scenarios I've ever heard. The
Can you
inflatable
imagine
structure was
in
airborne for
there?
well over a minute, folding into itself before finally crashing back down into a parking lot, leaving behind what was described by witnesses as a field of bodies. Worst of all, the majority of those in attendance were families with small children, with one 7-year-old girl recounting her experience, saying, "It was very scary and people were screaming. I saw a lady clinging on and then falling out, and then she was lying on her back with people around her. I think she died."
Like,
This
that
lady was
little
most likely
girl saying
68-year-old
that,
Elizabeth
like,
Collins, who had been ejected from the structure when it was in the air, with her injuries being catastrophic and unsurvivable. Of all the others now sprawled throughout this field of grass, most were left injured but thankfully not in serious condition, though this wasn't the case for 38-year-old Claire Vermege, who had been inside during the accident with her 2 children, and despite her kids surviving, she was sadly not so lucky, with Claire and Elizabeth being the sole fatalities of the incident. The video is terrifying, and though it's easy to say that this could have been so much worse, considering how many people were in Dreamspace at the time, the consequences were still catastrophic, as it devastated 2 families, and likely left many others at the scene traumatized for life, especially the young children. But how could this have happened? Well, that day was particularly warm, which likely caused the air inside the structure to expand, causing a hot air balloon-like effect, which was then exacerbated by sudden strong gusts of wind,
that
which eventually
makes
caused the
sense.
structure to go airborne, as in the end, it just wasn't properly secured for the conditions. Soon after the incident, Maurice Agus was arrested for manslaughter, though he would ultimately only end up paying a small fine, as he vowed to never create a large work again. Just a few years later, in 2009, Maurice Agus would pass away, with his legacy forever being defined by this devastating footage.
No, one thing that I wonder, where were the people that died in there? Where would the gravestones be? Because if it was over where it was set, yeah, that's alright. But if it was on the, like, I'm wondering where they would put it. On this one is
On October 2nd, 2006, police entered the home of 31-year-old Elaine Campione, where inside they found the woman speaking incoherently. Next to her was a VHS camera, depicting a series of disturbing events that had transpired within the home over the previous months and days, with the footage eventually finding its way onto YouTube.
Hi, Serena. It's August 8th, 2006. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
The tape starts with Elaine pointing her new camera at her daughter Serena. It was her 3rd birthday, and to celebrate, Elaine had left a brand new bike in the living room.
What is it? It's a bike.
Days later, the footage continues, showing Serena once again as Elaine asks,
How does Mama love you?
This much.
Oh, I love you more than that. How much does your Mama love you?
Elaine then shows her other daughter Sophia, who was just a baby, before turning the camera on herself and showing the kids how the device worked.
Hi. See how the camcorder works?
That's the virus.
Hi.
That's them right
That's
there.
our mommy. Hi.
What should I feed?
So far, the footage seems like nothing more than your standard family home videotape, and appears completely wholesome. Though with the next recording, the tone begins to shift, and things start to become slightly concerning.
This is a deplorable, horrible, messy, filthy apartment that supposedly my 2 children and I live in, and it's just a horrible, horrible mess. Yeah. I think Diego Campione is totally in the wrong, and I hope he burns in hell for all his sins, the same as Leonardo.
As Elaine shows the camera her home, she begins joking about how they are living in deplorable conditions, before randomly calling out 2 men who she says she hopes burn in hell, all while her children are in the same room. She starts to grow more and more agitated.
All I wanted to do is take care of my 2 little girls, live happily ever after the 3 years of physical, emotional, and mental abuse that I endured tremendously by Leonardo Campione, and in the past year from Anna and Diego Campione, the mental and emotional abuse.
Outright saying that she was abused by a man named Leonard Campione, who happened to be her ex-husband and the father of these children. And she goes on from there, with each moment clearly making the kids more and more anxious.
Justice to my family for what they have all done to us. I cried out for help. They should have charged him for the assaults he did to me.
Eventually causing Elaine to snap out of it and stop the camera.
And my poor 3-year-old, I did everything. What are you saying, Sophia? What do you want?
The video then skips forward once more, with this footage being taken just days before the police were called, showing Serena coloring on the floor as Elaine asks,
Who loves ya?
Mom.
Who loves you the most? That much? Oh, I think I love you more than that.
The scene that unfolds next was recorded on that very same night, just hours later.
Recording this because Leo and there. Are you happy? Everything's gone. You wouldn't give peace. You wouldn't tell the truth. You didn't care about our babies. You didn't care about me. You care about yourself.
Yeah.
All you did was
Better to watch positive stuff.
Yeah, to me also like the try not
Just
to laugh.
imagine a home that feels
What's that?
effortless.
To me also like the try not to laugh
This
and
spring,
the
explore
Karen.
the latest in tiles and
care about yourself. All you did was hurt us.
In the video, Elaine states that everything is gone, as she speaks to Leo directly, accusing him of having ruined their lives with his constant abuse.
You are truly the devil. And I hate you. 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 And I want you to know how much I hate you.
Disturbingly, the children were nowhere to be seen in this footage, with Elaine eventually addressing them by saying,
God believes in you. And God's taking care of them now. They're protected by God. Thank God. And thank Him. Because there's no way I could have them with you. Nothing's good enough for you. It has to always be your way. Well, they're good. Then you can have it your way. Your wife and your daughters are dead now.
She just said before the recording, I think, that she just said your wife and your daughters are dead now. Okay, the daughter the wife being her, the one in the video, and the daughters being the two little ones.
Yeah.
I just wanted to tell the messed up part.
According to Elaine, not only were her children gone, but she was too. She stops the recording soon after. Despite saying this, the camera would actually start up one more time, where Elaine describes how she was still alive, despite having attempted to OD, which prompted her to call the police. When officers arrived at the home, both Serena and Sophia were found laying in her mother's bed, holding hands, and wrapped tightly in rosaries. Neither of them were alive. 2 nights prior, and directly before filming this message, Elaine had brought them both into the bathroom, as it was time for their nightly baths, and once in the tub, she told them to play a game, one where they would place their heads beneath the water and blow out bubbles. When they did this, Elaine held their heads down, and she didn't let go until she was certain they were gone.
So the person just explained the messed up part. It was the little girl's nightly bath time, and the mum said, "Hey, let's do like the blowing bubbles game in the bath."
Yeah.
Whilst they did that, she put her hands on both of their heads, drowned them, in the bath. Like, why? What did they do? First of all.
This footage is some of the most disturbing that I've ever seen, as we get a glimpse into Elaine's descent into madness in the moments directly before she stole her children's lives. But all of this leaves one obvious question. Why? Well, it was noted during her investigation that the abuse she alleged from her ex-husband Leo seemed to be very real and well documented over the years, leading to Leo not being able to see his children for over a year, with this causing the two to separate, which is when Elaine's mind began to deteriorate. She began believing that people were following her and were going to kill her, with this fear of people eventually shifting to a fear of aliens, as she claimed to have seen them on numerous occasions, believing they were following her. Because of this fear, she refused to let her children out of her sight, not even allowing her own parents to look after them, causing her to become so attached to these children that she genuinely began to believe that they were all one entity, which made things incredibly concerning when she became suicidal and eventually attempted to take her own life. Despite Leo's more than troubled history, he had supposedly turned his life around in the years leading to this footage, and was eventually allowed to start visiting the children on a limited capacity.
Right, so I'm just gonna go to the last bit, which is I don't know what's going on anymore. Alright, the last bit. Chapter 4. Gavin Collins Road Rage. Now,
on April 18th, 2010, a 39-year-old
this one,
man
the
named
guy
Gavin
looks
Collins was
insane.
released from the HMP Ranby prison in the UK. His freedom would last less than 24 hours, as the very next day he suffered a severe mental breakdown, the result of which was captured partially across several video recordings that later appeared on YouTube. This is the story of his rampage. It began at approximately 9 a.m. in the city of Nottinghamshire when Gavin left his home. As he walked down the sidewalk, those in the area reported him acting strangely, muttering to himself that he was Jesus and that he was invincible. Without warning, he then turned his attention to a random home, which he forcefully entered, stole a man's car keys, and took his vehicle, taking off with no apparent destination. Inside the car, the owner just so happened to have 2 cameras, one being a standard dash cam and the other facing inside the vehicle, giving us a look at Gavin and his apparent mental state.
this dude looks insane.
Jesus Christ! I'll shut out with a nice sight I've got. Hey, don't do this! Come on, let's go, bro. Talk, get rid of all the coppers! Let's go! Let's go!
Just at a glance, it's obvious that Gavin is completely unhinged. For some reason, he was utterly filled with rage, ripping off the rearview mirror and yelling obscenities and incomprehensible threats at no one in particular.
I'm enraged! I'm Jesus! I'm descendant of God! And you lock me up! Watch this! You
What's this?
And most concerning of all is the speed in which he's traveling, as he starts driving faster and faster, swerving in and out of cars as he passes through busy residential areas, as he reaches speeds that have been estimated to be anywhere from 85 miles an hour to well over 120.
Like, that's insane. Going to a little neighborhood or whatever he said, and going 80 all the way to literally past 120 miles per hour. jeez. Like, most people, I feel super bad for you. Like, you lived a good life until now. And we got people like this that just do it just because they're like, oh, Jesus, all that. Yeah, I'm in this. Like, dude, you're not.
Now I'm getting stronger and stronger by the second.
But somehow, despite countless close calls, every time he avoids collision, at least for the time being.
Whether you want to lose weight with our
And-
5 or 7 day Jumpstart Go
that's
meal
good.
plans, or you just want to enjoy more
Wow, thank God.
Every time he avoids collision,
Get rid of that.
at least for the time being.
You can hear inside speaking, and that's the crash.
In an
The
instant,
first
Gavin
and
smashes
many
the
that he
vehicle into a
had
brick
by then.
home at full speed,
So he
with
crashed.
the impact being devastating.
Just
And yet
say
somehow,
crash.
through the destruction, Gavin was not only still alive, but completely unharmed,
which he
and also
lived.
completely unfazed.
And
He
ju-
pulled
like,
himself
with
from
the
the wreckage and
crashing,
immediately turned his attention to a
going
woman
over,
driving
like,
nearby,
20
and within
miles
moments
per
he had
hour.
forced his way into the vehicle and was behind the wheel once again, continuing this deranged driving spree until once again he crashed. And much like the initial collision, he survived, walking away unscathed before turning his
Twice! People like this are insane. Ugh. My brain's like trying to catch up with these videos. I can't catch up with this.
attention to another random home. In pursuit of stealing his third vehicle, he grabbed a nearby concrete slab and began to smash through the home's doors, bloodying his hand in the process, before eventually making entry. Inside were a mother and her 2 children, one of which was 5 years old, and the other wasn't even a year. Gavin approached the terrified family, yelling and demanding that the mother give up her car keys, telling her that he was Jesus and that, because I am Jesus, I will kill you if you don't give me the keys.
Wait.
Without hesitation, she did as he said.
It looks
Gavin
like
then went to
something
each
that you've
member of the
seen
family,
like
and
at
with
some
his
sort of
injured
like
hand,
horror
he drew
game.
crosses
to
on
be
their forehead
honest.
out of his own blood
It's just like
before
you're
taking
playing
off
a
his
horror
third stolen
game
car.
and you just see that. Yeah, that's funny. There goes again. And then he hits a cop. Right
Once
there,
again, Gavin
boom.
was driving manically, though this time he was even more reckless, crashing into a brick wall and then a cop car, before setting his
Lies.
sights on a pedestrian. While speeding through a neighborhood, Gavin would see a man standing innocently
So, like,
near a bus stop, and for whatever
police, I'm
reason, the
guessing.
sight of this man enraged him, causing Gavin to slam on the brakes and reverse the vehicle, stepping on the gas as hard as he could, and crashing directly into him, leaving him lying there with devastating injuries.
Hey.
Gavin quickly exited the vehicle and found the man lying motionless on the ground, prompting him to shout, "I've killed him. I've killed the devil." Minutes later, Gavin would crash yet
I
another.
don't like you could have made the view less scary without the like spooky like you don't need that.
Car into yet another home. Though this time, the police weren't far behind.
I got Sam. Then cops going after him with some others as well. Point some tasers at him. They don't shoot at him, okay, so
This way.
eventually caught.
I'll get him out. Oh no! Do not move! Do not move! Get him up! Get him out, get him down!
Finally bringing his disturbed driving spree to an end. The man that Gavin had struck was 87-year-old Terry Radford, a retired teacher whose injuries were catastrophic, with the man passing away soon after. According to his family, Terry was an incredible grandfather, father, and son. The footage is genuinely horrifying, but what's most shocking of all is the fact that any of this was even allowed to happen. As stated previously, this was Gavin's very first day
Yeah, I can't believe. No, it's not supposed to.
out of prison. And based on the behavior he exhibited whilst in prison, he really should have never been released. Gavin was granted an early release in March of 2019 for charges based around burglary, but just as he was set to be freed, it was discovered that he had submitted an adulterated drug test, which caused his case to be re-examined and resulted in his release being postponed. In response, Gavin lost his mind. Later that month, he assaulted a prison guard before spraying him with an unknown liquid that contained bleach, before proceeding to set his cell on fire and attacking another officer with a piece of wood. Due to his actions, Gavin was placed into an isolated cell, where less than a week later he started yet another fire, and when an officer entered his cell to put it out, Gavin struck them in the head and pulled out a plastic knife, threatening to slash him, stating that it would be a thrill to kill him. Gavin's stay in prison clearly hadn't rehabilitated him. In fact, it seemed to have made him more violent than ever before, and more mentally disturbed. Though shockingly, despite all of these additional crimes, Colin's release would go on to be approved less than 2 weeks later, with Gavin being set free on April 18th, and within just 24 hours, Terry
One
Radford
of my
would be
neighbors
brutally
sent me
killed. Gavin was sentenced to 21 years in prison, and during his trial it was revealed that no drugs were found in his system, and instead this all seemed to be the result of some sort of psychotic episode that just so happened to be captured on camera in one of YouTube's darkest videos.
Well, I'm gonna end the video there. Yeah, so that was YouTube Darkest Secret 7. Thanks so much for watching. It's been so long to record. Goodbye.